Cold War. Across the U.S. and the Soviet Union, missile detection systems stand vigilant, tracking all incoming objects, ready to unleash an awesome counterstrike should the unthinkable ever happen. But what if the inbound object is actually a non-threatening UFO? Might fear of the unknown inadvertently trigger Armageddon? In 1971, just such a scenario was envisioned and planned for.
In September of 1971, there was a nuclear agreement between the United States and the Soviet Union. There was one interesting part of that agreement which dealt with the need to be aware of unidentified objects for either country that would, possibly cause an alert status to go off.
The historic agreement on measures to reduce the risk of outbreak of nuclear war covers a number of scenarios. Article 3 of the agreement states,
"The parties undertake to notify each other immediately in the event of detection by missile warning systems of unidentified objects, if such occurrences could create a risk of outbreak of nuclear war between the two countries."
But the meaning of unidentified object has raised interest in some quarters.
Now, it is not necessarily the case that an unidentified object would mean a UFO in the sense that we understand that. However, I think it's undeniable that an unidentified object would very probably also refer to true UFOs. But of course, you have to remember, all of these documents, whenever we're dealing with UFOs, they're so carefully worded that, nothing explicit really is said.
Article 6 of the agreement details the notification procedure for these incidents.
For transmission of urgent information, the parties shall make primary use of the direct communications link between the governments of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
But to use the direct communications link, the information first has to get to the highest levels of the U.S. government. And a protocol for making that happen also exists. Air Force Manual 10-206, most recently updated in June 2001, gives the primary reporting instructions for that branch of the military, which mans the country's missile detection system. Compliance with these reporting instructions is mandatory. Chapter 3 details operational status reports, referred to as OPREP 3. The highest priority in the OPREP 3 structure is given to reports denoted by the flag words Pinnacle Nuke Flash, indicating events which risk the outbreak of nuclear war. According to these instructions, included in these events is
detection of unidentified objects by a missile warning system that appears threatening and could create a risk of nuclear war.
These reports, both immediate voice reports and follow-up written ones, go to the Air Force Operations Center in the Pentagon, Strategic Command, NORAD, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Rapid reporting is imperative. Do not delay an initial report for lack of information. Due to the extremely time-sensitive nature of the Pinnacle Nuke Flash report, transmit these voice reports no later than 5 minutes after learning of the event.
Though this Air Force protocol uses the term unidentified object, as did the U.S.-USSR agreement, many researchers have little doubt of its true intent.
I mean, after all, within the U.S., there had, even by 1971, been a long history, very long history of significant, serious, grave airspace violations by UFOs. This had happened many, many times. We presume that the Soviets did too. They had a lot of UFO sightings of their own.
Though what ultimately happens to Pinnacle Nuke Flash reports is cloaked under layers of secrecy, they do demonstrate international cooperation, which many think is the key to dealing with the UFO.